Yeah. So like, what could I have done differently this morning?
Well, first off, you could have not been a bummer. You could have not been a
No,
bummer
it's
about the
my
whole thing,
fault.
and there would have been an issue. Okay, last
My
joke
hurt
about that.
feelings are the
Yeah.
problem.
I don't want to be, a hypocrite here. So that's the last joke. I mean, that's funny, right?
It's funny,
That's funny.
dude.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
So it's kind of hard to tell because there's no hindsight 2020 here of like, oh yeah, let's look at the rule book here and see where you fucked up. Because my perspective, I also, one of the things you could have done a little bit more is before you just like jump into your thing of here's my new boundary. Get ready for it. Here it comes.
Prepare to be triggered.
Prepare to prepare to like get talking to, maybe connect with me a little bit and see what was alive in me.
Oh, yeah, like when you said it.
Well, no, like
Oh,
this
like
morning
this
when
morning.
I come kind of walking into the kitchen and like then it was just like, hey, how's it going? Good morning. And it's like my parts have something they need to say.
I thought I was being so courageous.
You were being very courageous.
But I get it.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of one of those things that helps establish hey, I'm going to invite you into a conversation that's very important to me.
Yeah.
And I want you to pay attention.
Yeah.
Versus hear ye, here is your subpoena.
Here's the decree.
Here's your subpoena to come to court real quick. So fucking get. Which this is a big dramatization, but I was in a little bit of a sad mood this morning too because I'm going through a funky phase and am trying to reestablish some of my habits and stuff that really like energize me. And so I was a little bit not in my own best mood this morning. And so it was just like, as much as I was trying to stay in communion with you and listen to what boundaries you were trying to express and like really absorb this and make this a meaningful thing, there were a lot of my parts that were just like, fuck this. Like, I don't need this right now. And I should just fucking, shut this down right. There were definitely parts of me that were not in the mood to hear this. And there were other parts that were like, well, we were kind of getting over this bad mood. Now we're right back in it. So fucking thanks. And that's the thing that's the other advanced setting of boundary setting is receiving someone's boundaries because like I said, it cannot be a one-way street.
Yeah.
It has to be a two-way street. So being able to graciously receive someone's boundary and connect with why this is such an important thing is also a very advanced setting. Usually a boundary is in a way a criticism of something that you're doing, that this is a request to change or evolve or do something different. And as much as we want to deny it, there's always going to be parts in you that are like, we're being criticized. Well, I don't feel it. Let me tell you what I don't feel like now. Enough, happy, meaningful, connected, all this kind of bullshit. We all got those parts. Yeah. And my kind of system had to be like, okay, well, I'm not going to be real happy about this. I'm going to do my best to listen to what's going on, not like create some funky ass story or like just start judging you, and kind of just absorb what I can and then let that sink in and then move on with my day. And kind of the best way I could do that was to try and acknowledge what you said and thank you for expressing it. I think I did that, didn't I?
Yes.
And then kind of get along with my own self and really just kind of give myself space for the rest of my parts to have some time to kind of bitch and moan. And then when they all got tired, be like, okay, well, now let's move on with the day.
Yeah. What was it like for your parts to get my text saying explicitly that I want to get better at setting boundaries with a more open heart or whatever I said?
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, it's always nice. This is another advanced thing. Once like a boundary is set and received and like there's kind of mutual agreement, it is always nice to like touch base again on it in like a more, hey, let's reconnect on this in a loving way. Because, it is a bit of an affront to have a boundary set because as much as it is something that you can connect on, like it is the straw that stirs the drink a little bit.
Yeah, especially when it's communicated like a demand or like in that
well
energy.
Yeah, I mean this is the thing also. You like both parties need to have compassion for not only themselves but for each other because like we said, this is like 9th level dojo shit, and you're probably going to fuck it up a little bit.
Yeah.
On both ends.
Like, I'm also imagining it as kind of like a spectrum too, as a you know, it's not like a black or white, like you set the boundary right or you didn't set it right.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I think I will always be moving toward being able to communicate what's alive in me from a place that like breeds more connection, or in a way that breeds more connection than separation.
And this is, I'd like to get your opinion on this. Part of the true power of setting a boundary is the act of doing it. And a lot of the times, once you kind of set that boundary, then you can have some perspective, and it is a little bit less like because you've expressed the unmet need, and now that that's on the table, it becomes less of a like life or death daunting like thing. It kind of loosens it up a little bit.
Yeah, because the parts of me that want to set a boundary can come across so strong and so urgently, because they mistrust my parts who have not who have noticed this and then have not said anything, because they didn't want to stir the, they didn't want to stir the drink. They didn't want to like shake the boat, rock the boat, shake the boat, shake the baby,
shaking the boat. Earthquake. The Enterprise is getting hit by Vulcans. I don't know.
I'm gonna knock on wood. So yeah, that's something like within me is like it shows more of the trust that I'm still building with my parts, rather than the trust that I have in you too.
Say that again.
Yeah, so the part of me who wants to set boundaries like so urgently and directly, and like maybe as more of a demand, or just I guess just like it, to your point of like sometimes your parts just need you to set the fucking boundary. And then once they see that you did that, then they can kind of relax a little bit and start to hold the conversation in a different way. Like that's kind of what it felt like for me this morning, is my parts it was mistrustful of the other parts of me who have not set a boundary, who have not chosen to like advocate for my needs, who have chosen to stay quiet about my needs or what I'm feeling, because of being afraid that, we'll lose connection even. And so I had the parts of me that wanted to set the boundary were like, no, we're fucking doing this. Like, we need to do this right now, because like, if we let this slide, these other parts are going to take over and you'll never say anything. It can feel so high stakes at first. And so, yeah, then after I set the boundary, I was able to see it a lot more clearly about, oh, okay, yeah, actually, I wish I would have held the conversation a little bit differently.